Hello, everyone, and welcome back to My First Mon. It's Emerald Edition. I'm one of your hosts, Jack Martin, alongside the Pokemon Master, Christian Buckley.
Hello, Jack. Hello, listeners. Hello, trainers. I'm excited.
It is good to be back. I was very close to saying Crystal Edition, because I'm just so used to saying that at this point. But it's been a few months, I suppose, and I shouldn't be used to that. But here we are.
Yeah.
Back with Emerald.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting.
Hell yeah.
How was your week?
It was good. So we did our preview episode on Friday, and I forget if I immediately played Emerald. No, I think I played Emerald on Saturday. And I haven't played this game in like a decade. So like just cozying up, settling in for like 2 hours of Pokemon Emerald this weekend was incredible. So it was a nice cap to the week, kicking off the year pretty well. But that's been really it, all the shows are coming back. I'm pretty busy with those, but what about you?
Yeah, I had a good week. Like what you said, I played on Sunday, and based on our new recording schedule for the show, I will probably be playing on the weekends, which is a nice little weekend activity. I guess every day is the same these days, so it doesn't really. It's hard to differentiate, but having a dedicated weekend day to be essentially my Pokemon day, because like what you said, it does take 2 to 3 hours to play. So yeah, that's nice. I do like having that day.
Absolutely.
So it's a nice little thing we got. But for those that don't know, this is our Pokemon retrospective series, with this season focusing specifically on Pokemon Emerald. I'm a newcomer to the series, while Christian has been playing these games his whole life, and each episode will focus on the lead up to and through a particular gym. The show releases every Wednesday. You can find it on podcast services like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you can also find the video version on YouTube. You can get involved with the show by submitting fan art to either myfirstmon@gmail.com or by tweeting us at joyclicks with the hashtag myfirstmon on Twitter. If you leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, that helps us on a ton. And if you subscribe to JoyClicks on YouTube, that also helps us. You can also give us any advice or corrections in the YouTube comments, and we will feature you in our forthcoming Trainer Tips segment on the show. Finally, you can support us over on patreon.com/joyclicks, where at the $1 level, you can name my Pokemon in my party, which is a very exciting prospect. And at the $5 level, you can get producer credit to have your name be read out each episode. So, Christian.
Yes.
Would you like to hit us with some trainer tips?
Absolutely. This is the comments of our preview episode, part 0, that we do for every season, expectations. Just wanted to shout out a few people who have been hyped up. We got Derivative Z. Shout out. I remember from back in season 1, I think, so mainstay. They said this is gonna be so pog. I hope Jack brought enough swimwear for Hoenn, which we'll get to. Angarl, classic. Welcome back. I will continue to help out my Pokemon knowledge where I can. However, this is the generation that I technically never played. I played the Gen 6 remake, but not the original. I considered myself too old for Pokemon when it was first released, but here I am at 31, loving the series all over again. So, I also played the remakes. Angarl, worth playing Emerald, all I'm saying. And TAWD, so excited for this. I recognize the Abby as well, because it's the Kirby with the sunglasses, and I'm a fan. So, yeah. I saw a couple other people pop up. I can pull up the YouTube comments at the moment, but shout out to all the returning people. Shout out to everybody coming back. I'm glad this show has resonated so well with some people, and it's awesome to see familiar faces.
Absolutely. Yeah, of the couple shows that I do for JoyClicks with you, Christian, I think this one has probably the most returning commenters and fans, so it's really cool just to see people pop in every once in a while, or once per week as we do this. It's really cool. Nice to see Angarl back. As always, we relied on their comments every episode. So.
Yeah. Also, Aaron Aranda recognized the name as well, so thank you again for returning.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you to all our trainers. Now, this would be the point in the show where we just get right on into it. But I thought, given that Pokemon is a very nostalgic series and rooted in the past for us, of course, there are still games coming out, but I think it is more so a nostalgic series. I decided to dig out my Game Boy Advance.
This is excellent.
And do a little show and tell.
Ooh, baby.
So can you see this, Christian?
I can, yes.
Okay. So this is my purple Game Boy Advance. I don't know if you can tell, but the screen is very scratched.
I just see fingerprints. I don't see anything else.
Yeah. These fingerprints are decades old.
Oh boy.
Probably.
That's like some Chuck E. Cheese grease that just stood the test of time, huh?
And I opened this, I think, like last year, and there were still batteries in this because I was dumb. And you can imagine all of the goop and white dust that was prevalent in there. So I'm not gonna open that. Of course, you got your game cartridge up here. I don't know what this looks like, a micro USB port, but it's really big.
What that is where you would put your link cable that you use to trade or battle people.
Excellent.
Now, worth bringing up again is why? How did you own a GBA as a child and never tried Pokemon? That still blows my mind.
Well, let's mosey right on over to the collection of video games I have.
Oh, please, please.
I will explain why I didn't. Because I was, I don't know, under 10 and didn't really have my finger on the pulse of video games as much as I did. As much as I do now. You know, like, when you're a kid, devs, especially back in the early 2000s, they just would license so many things for kids. Yeah. And they weren't good games, but hell did they probably sell. So let's start with the ones that I honestly can't even decipher. I think this is a Toy Story one. I wonder if I can get it in there.
Oh, that's hard.
Maybe not.
Okay, I see a little bit of the font, it looks like. Maybe.
Yeah, it's... Oh, there we go.
There we go. It looks like... Disney Pixar, there you go.
Yeah, you got the Y. That's definitely a Toy Story one. I don't recall that one. This is some sort of hockey game. You can see a man, let's say...
I bet it's Wayne Gretzky's hockey.
Maybe.
He had a series before NHL. Because the thing is, I have an N64 game that's Wayne Gretzky, and I've never played it in my life. I don't know where I got it.
Now, okay, what's interesting about these are, for the case of the Toy Story one, Game Boy Color.
Sure, yeah.
Cartridges, because they're the big boys. Wonder if I can punch it in there. Maybe not. Probably not. And this is Game Boy Color. Excuse me. I think it's just the original Game Boy.
So I think the black cartridges and the clear ones were Game Boy Color. So GBA are about half the size of those.
Interesting.
So
okay, yes, we're gonna actually get into the Game Boy Advance here. So I have 3 other cartridges. Let's start with this one because I don't remember playing this on the GBA. I remember playing this on the PS2. We have SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
That was that had a GBA version. Okay.
Exactly. I didn't realize that, but here we are. So there's that. I don't recall that one at all. I have a lot of fond memories with the PS2 version, but not with that one. Here's another one. I do recall this one. I probably played it for like maybe 5 hours. This is Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
On the GBA. Did you play this version?
No, but I respect it. Any cool, weird Spider-Man thing I'm into. So that's nice.
It's sad because there was another game that I played on here. I think it was Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Okay.
I think it's GBA version as well. I don't have the cartridge with me. That might be with my brother's GBA. Finally, I think this is the most played GBA game I had.
Oh boy.
It is The Incredibles.
Okay. Well, listen, that seems like it could be like a cool beat 'em up or something.
It was, I mean, for my adolescent stupid brain.
Sure.
It was enjoyable.
So,
from that collection, can you tell why I didn't play Pokemon?
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, we're righting those wrongs. With one of the, I think, best reviewed, potentially, Game Boy Advance games. in Pokemon Emerald. I can fact check that for next week, or trainers, if you know a lot about GBA, let me know. But Pokemon Emerald, I think, is probably the refinement of the series thus far. And we can get into all of that. But Jack, hit me with your initial impressions when you booted this thing up.
Sure. So, like what we noticed with, especially Crystal, I'm forgetting with Blue, but the opening part, like where it's essentially like the trailer for the game, in a way, it's like the set piece, as it were. Emeralds, in particular, blew me away. It was three things. It was the music, which I noticed was particularly beautiful because, of course, we had like the chiptune sound of the original Game Boy, and now we're on to the Game Boy Advance. So of course things advanced. And I think I'm not a hardware specialist in any way, especially for Nintendo products. But I think this hardware allowed for more advanced and complex music. And that's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah. That intro is really, really solid. Like, the music all around. I remember there was a trainer also that mentioned in the Discord, I think it was Neon Rider specifically, was saying, like, hey, make sure you talk about the music this season, because, like, it's actually good music. It's not, like, iconic. Or, it could be, but we didn't talk about music a lot before because it's just like, oh, it's iconic Pokemon music, like, but, like, it's...
Yeah.
It's basic. This is like good orchestrations for chiptune stuff, which we will talk about for sure more this season.
Yeah, I noticed that in particular with Littleroot, the starting town.
Oh yeah, dude.
I just sat there and I was like, whoa, this is honestly blowing me away. So yeah, music is, I think, will probably be very integral to this game. Another thing that got me was the color, and we did see the addition of color in Crystal. But I popped back in to play it earlier today, actually, before this recording, just to have, like, that sort of dichotomy between the two games. And it was included in Crystal, but it wasn't, I think, as, like, integral to the game as it is in Emerald. It's more like they were still limited by, like, the sprites and all that of the original Game Boy, and they were just able to add color. It just didn't really flesh it out as much. And finally, I think the thing that got me was shapes in this game, where like I could tell what things were, and yeah, I mean, instantly, it's hard to go back, you know, playing like games in 2020, 2021, to playing like a early 2000s game on a handheld and be amazed. But coming from Crystal and coming from Blue, I still like do carry that progression with me, so I am like recognizing that this is pretty profound. And yeah, it's cool.
That's fantastic. I think that was the intended hope from like my end and probably viewers as well, of like, it's such a step up. Like, I know we harped on it a lot in season 2, but it really feels like Gold and Silver are the Uncharted 2 to Red and Blue's Uncharted 1, even though I like Red more, just because like it was about refinement. And I think I mentioned it before, but I do think Hoenn Gen 3 is a lot about refining the format and building on that, rather than Crystal sort of reiterating it and tweaking things, you know. And I do think the advancement of the hardware is a large part of that, from all the points you brought up so far. So I'm glad they've hit you clearly strongly, because I can just tell, like, the way you're talking about it, like, it was impressive. So that's awesome to hear.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I feel like after all is said and done, when after these 3 games, playing through them and like thinking back on Pokemon, the image that will pop into my mind is probably of Emerald when I think of Pokemon, of the 3 of these, because it is the most visually striking. And it's just, I think it's pretty classic. It seems. Sure. Like, even just playing it for a couple hours, it's like, oh, all right, this is the Pokemon. Like, this is the Pokemon. So, but yeah, continuing on, Professor Birch is the professor that introduces the world this time. It's not Elm, and it's not, ooh boy, I'm blanking on Blues.
Oak,
of course, the classic. Um, we made this joke last time, but I have to think of our school's honors college
Yeah.
houses. They're all named after trees, and apparently Pokemon follows that trend. Is the next one linden or maple?
No, the next one is a tree. I just double checked it because I forgot. The next one is I haven't heard of this tree before. Would you like to hear it, or do you want to save that?
Yeah. Hit me with it.
Professor Rowan.
Rowan.
Rowan, which absolutely, I'm positive that's a tree, but I've never heard of it.
Fans of the Legend of Korra will recognize that as one of Tenzin's children.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. Yep, that's the only time I've heard Rowan before. So there we go. And Little Root is the starting town. And Yeah.
First off, Professor Birch, we can talk about it again in a second, but this is when you see his full profile. Can you tell this game was like early 2000s? He looks like the Big Lebowski. He's got shorts and sandals on and a lab coat. He's just chilling.
Okay, so I did notice that Professor Birch is like somewhat odder than the previous professors. I'm gonna pull him up right now because that didn't stick out to me. But oh yeah,
dude,
yeah, totally.
He looks like he belongs in like Smash Mouth or something.
Yeah, he definitely has. Oh, he gives me like a Greg Miller vibe from Kind of Funny in a way.
I can
without
see
the
that.
glasses.
Yeah.
Right. He's out there. Like if you showed this, you pulled up Professor Birch to me, and you said, "Hey, this is Greg Miller's Pokemon Go avatar," I'd be like, "Yeah, totally." They screwed him out of the glasses, but yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Sorry. Continue.
So there you go. Yep, and then Little Root is the starting town. We'll get into that momentarily. And then I think the final, first observation I made, when I was first playing this game, is the motion of it. Again, I'm playing on an emulator, so it might be a little different. It feels a lot smoother than Crystal and Blue, which I chalk up to the hardware.
Sure, yeah. I don't know what the frame rate was back in the day versus what we're doing now for recording purposes, but I think yes, the added hardware makes it smoother. I would imagine it's 60 frames,
It feels 60.
Yeah, I'd imagine at least on the GBA, I'd imagine they were at 60 because I think the hardware was strong enough and the design was simple enough based on what the hardware was to net out that way. I know there are absolutely on the DS in Soul Silver, there are places where it gets framey because they get some mix of 2D and 3D in there. They get a lot of particle effects at times, so it gets a little much, but I'm pretty sure I would assume this is 60.
Yeah. All right, so let's get right into Little Root. Little Root. This is the first town in the game. This is essentially akin to Pallet Town and what was
New Bark
Crystal's? New Bark Town. Okay. So Little Root is a town that can't be shaded any hue. Now, Christian, I thought this might be a reference to Pallet Town from Pokemon Blue.
Okay.
Since, as the commenters astutely noted last season, Pallet Town being a reference to a color palette with different colors and stuff, and I think the towns in Blue were colored names.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so I thought that might have been a subtle reference to that potentially.
Yeah, I could see that. If it was ever, it went completely over my head. I will say, though, I think in terms of a starting town in a Pokemon game, I think Little Root is one of the best names, because it's hey, it's the beginning of your journey. You got to nurture it, and it's going to grow. I like that aspect of it.
Good call.
But, yeah, good pickup. I did not catch that.
Yeah. And the first thing I noticed about this game, and I was like, all right, that's weird. Your character moves to the Little Root. My character is Jack, of course. And I had to ride in the back of the moving truck with the boxes. And what's even weirder about this is that so like your mom talks to you right after this, and it's just like, hey, glad that we're getting settled in. Go to your room. The dad is nowhere to be found,
Mm-hmm.
and
But
like
you have a dad now,
the dad
though.
is, yeah, you have a dad, and like they make mention of your father,
Mm-hmm.
but like presumably if the mother was driving the truck, there would be a passenger seat.
No, that's
Open.
what the valuables go up there, or like the what was it, the Pokemon that are helping you move? I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's Slackoff. So I think Slackoff is helping
Interesting.
moving. So you know what? The Slackoff probably got shotgun, because if it's the moving van, if it's the company's moving van, and they're hiring these Pokemon to help move, you would assume that they take precedent. You don't want the movers in the back, right?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that, because I feel like they'd be like, customer comes first. We want your experience to be comfortable.
Sure, I could see.
We don't want you sitting in the back with the boxes that could fall and kill you.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. If I was in that position as the kid, I feel like a 10 or 11-year-old would be like, can I sit in the back with the stuff? It's going to be dark in there. It's going to be cool. No seatbelt. Like, I feel like that'd be a thing.
Sure. I just think it's negligence on the mother's side.
Sure.
Truly. But I guess I assume that won't come back. Like at the end of the game, the kid comes back and it's like, I have all these badges. I can finally take you on, Mom, for shoving me in the back.
No, unfortunately.
That's me projecting.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, I go inside. You're right. We had those two mover Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just kind of setting up the house. I go up to my room, and I noticed there was a GameCube. It was the purple version,
Mm-hmm.
and it said there was a GBA connected to it as a controller. Now, this is a question I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a thing?
Yes.
Is this like... It's not like remote play with the PS Vita? Like, you'd actually like plug it in and use it as a controller?
Yeah, so from my experience, that's how you could tell who the rich kids were. Like, whenever I would go somewhere and it's like, oh, you have the Game Boy attachments. Oh, okay. Or there was this other thing also that you could buy called the GB Player, that it's like a square, it looks like a little box of chocolates, but it's a square the size of the GameCube. You put it on the bottom of the GameCube and you like lock the top of the GameCube into it, so you're basically extending the height of the GameCube to make it a game rectangle, and you can put a GBA cartridge in the thing that you installed and then use a GameCube controller to play the GBA game on your TV. So that was the thing you could do also. But specifically about the controllers, yes, you could do that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think it might have been specific games. Like, I think Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles you could do that with. And I believe also The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. So mostly multiplayer stuff, but you could do it.
Well, that is a blast to the past, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, having spare controllers is always an issue that everyone has, right? So, seemingly, like, if you can just be like, hey, I got a GBA, maybe it works with this game that we all want to play together. That'd be cool. That'd be nice. That would solve a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, while I'm in my room, I also set the clock correctly this time.
Yes.
In Crystal, I don't know why I chose the time, but I did. Instead of the time it was.
I'm feeling 7:45.
That's literally what I did. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that, but I didn't do that this time.
Nice.
I keep hearing mentioning of my dad. Like, my mother in this tries to show me him on TV, which I was very intrigued about. And she was like, we just missed him. And I was like, what? Why? Who is this man? Which we'll find out soon.
Yes.
So up to this point, Christian, I tooled around in the settings.
Okay.
And I noticed like a lot more options than usual. And I changed the text speed to fast, because gotta go fast.
Yes, exactly. Good.
Yep. The sound I changed to stereo.
Okay.
Instead of mono, because, just it gives it that extra oomph, as it were. And I chose a frame, and I chose the Pokeball themed frame.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you mess around with this at all?
I actually did. I don't know why I did. I don't know what came over me to actually go into. Oh, well, I know I wanted to change the text speed to fast because I learned you could do that. I think on a replay, in like maybe freshman year of high school. I learned you could do that. So my entire life I suffered through slow text in Pokemon games.
Oh no.
But I think Emerald, unless I'm misremembering, I think is the first, or Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, I think is the first instance of you being able to modify that and make it faster. So
yeah,
good catch. Good catch.
Yeah, I'm glad I did catch that, because immediately I was like, all right, let's fix this. So yeah. Eventually I go to Birch's lab. I think I go to his house first and I meet May.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, that's Birch's daughter. Cool. Nice to meet May. We'll get to her later. I have some questions about May.
Okay.
And they're all good questions.
Okay.
I go to his lab, talk to his assistant, and his assistant's like, oh yeah, Birch is the kind of guy who likes to go out and about. You know, he doesn't like sitting in his lab. So I was like, all right, I'll go try to find him. And immediately I like go north of the town and find out he's being attacked by a Pokemon, which I think is hilarious. And he's like, help me, help me. So he has a bag lying on the ground, and I open it, and this is very interesting.
Yes, it is.
There are 3 Pokeballs there. And there are 3 options to choose a Pokemon to come to Birch's aid. There's Trico, who is the grass type. There's Torchic, who is the fire type. Let me know if I'm saying these wrong. And then finally, there's Mudkip, who's the water type.
Yes.
So, Christian.
Yes. Let me, before we go into it,
Yep.
I want general impressions of the gang, because I think I made the claim across the board they're all solid.
Yes. I would agree with that.
Okay.
I think I'm going to... okay, I'll spoil slightly the one I didn't choose.
Okay.
I thought, while they were all solid, I agree with you. I think Torchic was the weakest one of the bunch, which is very surprising.
Okay.
Just looks like a little chick. Of course, got some fire involved, but I wasn't impressed. And I was familiar with Mudkip. I think that was the one I was familiar with of these 3.
Okay.
Because my friend Arena, shout out to Arena, has a Mudkip like little plush.
Oh, cute.
So I'd seen Mudkip before.
Okay, yeah, I did Mudkip in the remake, I think, on the 3DS. I tried Mudkip because they added like an extra stage of evolution that gives you a new form, and out of the 3, I liked Mudkip's the best. And I think I messed around with Mudkip on like an emulated run at one point, so I was like, yeah, why not? I'll do that. But yeah, so I think as far as animals are concerned, Trico's a gecko, Torchic a chicken, and Mudkip, I think like some type of fish, like a like a it's like a salamander kind of, I think.
Kinda, yeah. It looks like you ever see that image of the first fish that walked out of the ocean and decided to evolve?
Yeah.
That's Mudkip.
Sure, that's Mudkip.
So of the 3, this was somewhat challenging.
Okay.
To choose. I got rid of the fire type, and it was down between. Yeah.
Yeah. How quickly did you cut out Torchic? Was that like an immediate thing, or like were you let down, or what was that like?
Almost immediately.
Okay.
Almost immediately.
Sure.
I don't think having a fire type my previous gen really like went into this at all. I was kind of open to all options, like I said to you before this. So, yeah, it came down to aesthetics. And Christian, I'm announcing here right now that I've finally rounded out the type chosen by me in all of these playthroughs that we've done. I chose Trico, the grass type.
Fantastic choice. I'm proud that.
Thank you.
One, I think I'm proud of Trico as well, because like look at that design. How solid does that design have to be for you, this person who's clowning on grass more than 2 days? Oh, yes, a couple days ago. Like, excellent choice. funny because I also chose Trico.
Excellent.
Trico, I don't know what it was, but like when I played Emerald originally, I was like, oh, it's easily Trico. It's easily Trico. I don't know what it is about him, but I love him. He's up there. He's one of my favorites. Big fan of Trico, and I named him Kashi.
Oh, that's a great name.
Because I get like ninja vibes from him, you know? And then Kakashi is the teacher in Naruto, which I'm watching, as well as Kashi the cereal, which is about grains.
Yes.
Like,
that's what I thought
and
of.
stuff like that. So I think it was fitting. So
yeah, that's excellent. Trico, I think, is a very well designed Pokemon. First of all, I love geckos.
Nice.
I hate frogs, but I love geckos. Because geckos are a little more predictable. Frogs, they could just jump on you from across the room, right?
Sure.
I don't like that.
Sure.
I do not like having that around. Geckos, they're cool. So, yeah, it was down to Mudkip or Trico, and I decided with Trico. I think Trico's somewhat more, maybe not recognizable, but more identifiable, where it's like, yeah, that is definitely a gecko. Where Mudkip was a little muddier.
Sure.
Excuse the pun.
I'll say this too. I think all three of them, maybe, I don't know how they compare to the originals, but I think the evolution lines for all three, I think I prefer to the evolution lines of Gen 2. Like, I know Totodile might be my favorite starter, but like, I think across the board, Trico's Bam 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 might be the best.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit of that later this episode.
Okay.
That's cool. So yeah, I choose Trico and I head back to the lab with Birch. Like, I think essentially like fast travels you there.
Yeah.
Allows me to keep my starter, and then I head to find May, Birch's daughter, who's out doing Pokemon stuff. So at this point, Christian, have you noticed anything through your playthrough? Because you're also playing through this. Like, anything stick out to you as a Pokemon veteran up to this point?
Not particularly. Like, I think it's just sort of what we talked about so far in terms of the step up, just really impressing me again. I think the game holds up very well so far. I like also that the instance of you getting your partner Pokemon is new and fun, and we saw something sort of fun in Gen 2 where it was like Gen 1 was just like, hey, don't go that way, you need something, and Gen 2 was like, hey, we're being robbed, this is what's we got, you know. And then here it's like I really appreciate this one because it's like you have to act, you know. It's like, hey, you're trying to save someone, and I think that is a nice way to build into the idea of Pokemon trainers being altruistic, I guess, in a way, or living in this wholesome world where many people don't have a ton of issues. But up to this point, I think it's just a really strong introduction. Yeah,
I agree with you. I liked the sense of urgency that you felt, like having to choose that Pokemon, which was like, obviously, you know, you could take as long as you want, but like when you're in it, it did feel like you had to make this like sort of split-second decision.
For sure.
So I appreciated that. Yeah, it was cool. So yeah, we move up to Route 101. Not much really happens here. I meet some new Pokemon. Poochyena,
yep.
Poochyena, who I see a lot in this like particular episode. I see a ton of Poochyenas. And I also see Wurmple, who I believe is new, right?
Yeah, so both of those are new. Poochyena and Wurmple are both new. Do you have any thoughts on them? Those are the two starting area ones, the way that like Rattata and Pidgey were in other games. So
yeah, they're fine. I don't think I was particularly drawn to them. Like, I didn't really want to catch them. In the case of Poochyena, I believe that is a normal type, and I tend to steer clear of those, really. And Wurmple kind of just looks like Caterpie to me, so I was like, nah, I'm fine. But also up to this point, Trico is like sort of leveling up and learns Absorb, which is a grass type move. Takes some health away from your opposing Pokemon and gives it to you, which is mighty useful.
Yeah. I'll give you this piece of advice as somebody who, outside of like a couple occasions, usually picks grass Pokemon. I think it'll be important to know, rely on life draining moves. Like, make sure, even if you can upgrade, you know how like Hydro Pump was like an upgrade to Bubble, like that kind of thing, or Bubble Beam was an upgrade to Bubble. There will be instances where I would try to keep a life draining move on hand, especially if you found it useful. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much been like my go-to move, up to the gym at least.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. Do you know what is Life Drain the next one? Do you know like the upgraded one?
I don't know. I can look into that. There might be some you can buy at some point in the game also that are really good. Yeah. So we can research that.
Gotcha. But at this point we get to Oldale Town. And the quote for here is "where things start off scarce," which I think is a reference to there being no Pokeballs in stock at the Pokemart.
Oh, okay. Nice. I didn't pick up on that. That's a cool find.
Yeah, I think someone mentions that, like, oh, like in the store, like, oh, there's no Pokeballs here, which I think is the game telling you, like, hey, you're not quite ready to catch Pokemon yet, so sorry. And it's at this point where I already want a bike because it's slow going. But we get a little upgrade soon.
Oh yeah, we do.
We'll talk about that.
So,
yeah,
one thing I think I found here. Unless hold on, I might have written down the wrong town because I detailed my notes by like town to town. Was there? Okay, hold on. Never mind. I can hold. Never mind.
Okay.
It's for a different city.
Sounds good. It's here I noticed that. Oh no. Okay, this is something different. There's a character that's saying there are Pokemon footprints on the left side of the screen, so like I can't disturb that, so I have to go north. And I have a question for you here.
Yes.
I was looking through the options, and I eventually somewhat figured this out, but maybe you could clarify this for me, and maybe even for the listeners out there. If you can clarify it for them, or vice versa, they can clarify it for us. What's the difference between A, the battle style, which is shift versus set, and B, the battle scene, which is on or off? What's the deal with that?
Okay, I don't know 100%, but I think it might have to do with the animations in battle. And I think toggling that would decrease them to be pretty minimal.
Yes. I think that's correct.
Okay.
One of them is, at least. I think it's style.
Sure.
Potentially.
I could see that, because if it's set, then I feel like there's less animations on them. Maybe.
Yeah, I forget which it was, because there was a point where I was using Absorb a lot, and I'm like, wow, this animation takes forever.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see what I could do with that. I might just leave it on, because we do occasionally capture gameplay, like for gyms and stuff. So I don't necessarily want to take that away from the viewer if they want to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, something worth mentioning, worth asking. Christian, on the dock here, we have another exciting edition of Who's That Pokemon. Can you describe for the audio listeners what you are seeing?
So it looks like a slipper with a claw and then 2 long pieces of toilet paper draped over it.
Oh, okay. Now that you say that, yeah, that's interesting. And I think this is pretty good.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah.
That is a Wingull.
Who do we got?
That is a Wingull.
Yes.
What do you think of Wingull?
So Wingull eventually becomes my water type.
Okay.
There's a few I meet along the way, and I wasn't really smitten with any of them. And then Wingull came along, and I was like, all right, I kind of like the water fighting combo. I do like the combinations. What does Count Dooku say? We said this last season.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
That's
you gotta watch out for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Which I do encounter we'll get to that.
Yeah,
but,
man, because like think about that.
Yeah.
If Wingull is water and flying, you run into an electric type, you're done. You're mega done. Like.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right. So yeah, there's Wingull. I found a Wingull. I thought that was pretty cool looking, so I decided to. I usually do like 1 or 2 of these an episode.
Yeah.
I'll crudely draw, a Pokemon and see if Christian can guess it. Usually it's okay, so he can. I think your accuracy is pretty much 100%, maybe 90%.
I think so.
So eventually, I find May, and she has a Torchic. And we're battling, and it's a pretty easy fight. It's mostly just scratch and pound, back and forth, and I win. I get Trico to level 8.
Very nice.
Thank you. And we do another sort of fast travel back to Little Root, where I get my Pokedex and Pokeballs, and basically Birch is like, yeah, go off and do your thing. So I'm like, cool. So here's a question I have for you at this point.
Okay.
I just battled May. And she had the opposing starter to mine, which, from my knowledge, is something rivals do pretty early on. So, is May Emerald's version of a rival?
May is a rival.
Excellent. I like this.
Yeah,
a lot.
I like May a lot. I think she has a good, like. I know you're a silent protagonist, but I think that the player and May, as like 2 people going through a similar journey, have a good rapport. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're not talking, like it never feels mean spirited. It's like competitive in a fun, friendly way. And she's a friend. She's a friend.
Exactly.
So.
That's what I liked about May so far, is that it seems like you're in this together, whereas Ash for me and from Blue and Johnny from Crystal were especially Johnny were very much like capital R rival. Like, they wanted no part with you, and they were just like trying to do their own thing and like get powerful. Right? Johnny was definitely like Kylo Ren in that sense. So. I didn't like that. I didn't like the sort of argumentative vibe, because pretty much, aside from like Team Rocket, every other character in the Pokemon world is pretty much doing it for the love of it, right? And it does seem like this sort of communal experience of becoming like Pokemon masters, right? So that always stuck out to me as weird. So I do like how May is more of the sort of supportive role. And I remember some of the comments last season were discussing like later rivals and how they weren't the best because they were a little maybe too supportive. But at least for May right now, I like her role as it is.
I agree. Yeah. Later games, they get like, every time you see a rival or friend at that point, they'd be like, oh, let me hear your Pokemon, you know? And it's like, okay, so at the pace I run into people and can go to Pokemon centers, I don't need potions. So like,
yeah,
it's that type of thing where I don't think they devolve, but they get to a point where they're just basically like a mobile support thing that is also following along, and that's their reasoning for it. And it's less of a, I'm gonna battle you to keep you in check and see where you're at progress wise. And turned into more of a support thing, like mechanically, not just story-wise.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So before I head out, my mom like stops me and she gives me running shoes, which allow me to run faster. So is this a replacement of the bike, or do we see a bike later on?
There is a bike. There are 2 bikes.
Whoa.
We'll see.
Oh. So it seems that, like, I got the impression that the running shoes were comparable to the speed of the bike. Am I wrong?
I wouldn't be surprised, because again, technical limitations of the Game Boy, you can only proceed on multiple different screens at certain intervals, you know? But this is like, go off. Run as far as you want.
Yeah, almost instantly, like, you get the running shoes, and it felt good. Maybe it was just the stark contrast between the speed of running shoes and no running shoes, but I mean, it felt fast, so I like that. Anything from you up to this point? That you noticed?
I don't think so. Like after I got out of the initial tutorial, if you want to say, I was looking for Pokemon to catch because like I wanted to flesh out a team and have some people to rely on. So I can jump around because I caught some Pokemon on the way in the rest of the episode.
Sure.
I'm only rocking a team of 3 right now. Once you start to run into them, I caught a Meryl.
Yep.
That I named Bobber.
Nice.
Because of the tail and everything. And then I also caught a Tailo named Grayson because it is a bird with some red on it. And I was like, okay, Robin.
Yep.
Dick Grayson. So that's the team I'm rocking right now. That's where I ended off with them. And I think I caught Grayson after the gym, but across the board, I'm trying to like settle into them for a couple of weeks, I think. So
nice. That is something maybe towards the end of the episode I'll talk about with my experience. Like I kind of found difficulty in like sort of fleshing out up to this point my party.
Sure.
But we'll get there. So yeah, essentially I can go left of Oldale now. That dude did his thing with the footprints, so that's all well and good.
Did you talk to him again?
I don't think so.
Because if you go talk to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I got out. I cleared my path. Turns out they were just my footprints." And that was it.
So that's funny.
Yeah.
Gotta love that. So yeah, now I can go left of Oldale. I think it's a Route 102. It's at this point I catch a Lotad who looks like a frog with like a what's it called? Lily pad on him in a way. Which I later learned sucks ass. Lotad is not good. At least with his moveset right now.
Okay.
Yeah, the other notable thing is Trico is just like leveling up. Like Trico's level 11 now, has quick attack, which is nice. I always like having quick attack, at least on like 1 or 2 of my party members.
Yeah,
so that's nice.
Early game, it's very useful.
Yeah. Is there a later game version of quick attack?
I think Swift. I think it might be Swift. I think because Swift,
move that never misses.
Yeah, it never misses, and I believe it goes first. I could be wrong on that, but I think it might. So,
okay, that's good to know.
Maybe Swift. So,
all right, I might have to check that out.
Nice.
But yeah, basically just running through. Get to Petalburg City, and this is where people mingle with nature. That's a nice little thing there. I have a question for you. What is mail used for? This was something I noticed in Crystal, and I didn't know what to do with it.
I have no idea. My entire life, I've never used the mail system. I think you can maybe send stuff to friends. Maybe like Animal Crossing kind of like, hey, here's a potion.
Oh.
Maybe.
Gotcha.
Not 100% sure. I don't know if it was involved for like events because I played Emerald a couple years after it came out, so I wasn't around for the events in Emerald. But yeah, I cannot tell you what mail does. I've never used it in my life, so clearly it's not important.
Yeah, it seems pretty inconsequential. But around this area, there's like a little like pond, I guess, to the left, and there's a dude standing there.
Yeah.
And I go run up next to him, and I was like, "Yo, that's reflection in the water. That's cool. That's a nice little thing."
Did you talk to this individual?
He said something about like seeing himself.
I have it written down.
So yeah, say it.
I see my face reflected in the water. It's a shining grin. Or it could be a look of somber silence struggling with fear.
Wow. Very introspective, this man.
How good is that? In a children's RPG.
Yeah, they like having fun with the side characters you can meet.
Yeah, there's some good stuff.
Gotta love it. But this is where I was like, oh, sweet, it's the first gym leader. That's pretty quick. It's Norman, the gym leader. Quote, a man in pursuit of power. Now, what's the photo I included below that, Christian, in the doc?
I believe that is Norman Osborn, portrayed by what's his name?
Willem
Dafoe.
Yep.
In Spider-Man.
That's correct. That's the first thing that came to mind when I saw that.
I didn't even think of that, and you know what? Maybe the timing works out. So do you get the impression of villainy from your father? What are you expecting out of this?
That's the thing.
Okay.
I think there's something to this. Now, I don't think we're getting a Crystal situation.
Uh-huh.
But, yes, that description is not something you would say to a kind-hearted person, or to someone who is, like, someone who seeks power is not to be trusted or trifled with, right? Like, I don't know if there's such thing as good power, right? Maybe there is, but...
Sure. Honestly, maybe it's a cultural difference or something, because my mind immediately, when you said, I don't know a good person who chases power, to Goku from Dragon Ball, where he is essentially Superman, and his only characteristic is like, I just want to get strong so I can fight other people, like challenge him, you know? So, like, maybe it's just a cultural difference where, like, we're so used to our media being like Kylo Ren, you know, Darth Vader, the Emperor.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could think of people other than Star Wars, but, like,
to that end, though,
yeah.
like Luke Skywalker, he's a man in pursuit of power.
Sure.
In a way.
Very fair.
But yeah, that's what came to me. Villainy came to mind, but it is my father after all. Norman's my dad. I guess I'm Harry in this situation. And he was like, "Oh, son, nice to meet you. I'm the gym leader here." Someone else comes in who I only presume has the similar relationship to Norman and Peter Parker from Spider-Man, and I'm immediately jealous of this man who's stealing my father away from me.
Uh-huh.
And he essentially tells me to follow him as he catches a Pokemon, which is essentially the game just telling you, hey, this is how you use Pokeballs.
Yeah.
So that's what that was. He goes off to be Spider-Man, and Norman is like, cool, now you know how to catch Pokemon. You can go do your thing now. I'm a gym leader. I'm not going to clown you out right now because, you know, you're new. But one day maybe we'll battle.
Yeah.
And we'll see his temper then. Maybe they're going for the kind-hearted sort of, son, I'm proud of you. You made it all this way. Now you can battle me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or there can only be one, man. There can only be one. Rule of two? Nope. It's rule of one here.
Now,
in Hoenn.
I have beef with this tutorial.
Tell me.
In what goddamn reality does one attack that leaves a Pokemon in the green with one Pokeball? When does that work? That works sometimes, you know? Like, yeah. I've definitely been there where I'm just too lazy to hit a very small attack again. And I'm like, screw it, I got 80 Pokeballs, let me just try it. And then sometimes it works, you know? So, all I'm saying, first attempt to Wally, this kid who's like sickly and frail. I don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing. Someone described him as sickly and frail, so it's good that he's getting out of the house. I did notice the one Pokeball thing, and I was like, bro, come on.
Yeah. And what did you think of
that made me a little anxious.
What do you think of the Pokemon that they showed? Because Ralts, I believe, is the name of the Pokemon.
Yes.
What did you think of it?
I'm struggling to remember what it looks like. Can you describe?
It looks like maybe a toddler with like a baggy sweater on and like a helmet or like a bowl cut of green hair, perhaps.
Oh, this thing's cute.
Yeah, do you think you might maybe like want one?
Yes, I did notice later on that someone was trying to trade a Ralt for someone. What type of Pokemon is this?
I believe it's Psychic.
Ooh, interesting.
Now,
Psychic Fairy Pokemon.
Okay, so in this game it would just be Psychic then, because Fairy was a typing that was added later retroactively.
Yes, you're right. I have the Bulbapedia, a trusted source, of course, in the Pokemon realm. It said prior to Generation 6, it was a pure Psychic type Pokemon. So that's what it is right now.
Yeah, so I always liked Ralts.
Interesting.
I liked the design of Ralts, and I was like, this kid gets one. Why can't, like, I want to get one? So then I remember specifically back in the day going to that patch of grass where he catches it and going through like 60 encounters. Never found a Ralts. And
really?
Yeah, I think that the spawn rate for Ralts is like very, 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 very low, just like how Dunsparce was.
Oh.
I think it might be like a 1%er.
And this dude gets it with one Pokeball?
Yeah! That's why it pissed me
bullshit.
off as a kid.
This kid wasted his only Pokeball on a 75% healed Pokemon in the wild. It was like a 1% chance.
Yeah, it's a rare Pokemon. I don't know, man. I don't know.
This is even furthering my, sort of the gap between my father and my relationship in this game.
Sure, yeah.
Where Norman is treating this Wally kid, he gives him one Pokeball, and I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And he gets the rarest one. Come on, bro.
Yeah. And like, hey, you know what? The kid is clearly having a rough go in life. Okay?
That's true.
We talked to his family next door. They're like, he's sickly. He's going to live with my relatives. The air is much clearer there. Norman's been a great friend of the family in the little time he's been here. He's a very generous man. So, like, good for Wally. But as the main character,
That's true.
I was upset.
Yeah. Clearly Wally needed a win, so I guess you're right. I guess it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Any other observations up to this point for you in your playthrough?
Not really, no. It's really just been some stuff I didn't remember the full details of. Like, I did remember the Ralts situation, but I completely forgot your dad was a gym leader. I completely forgot that. Which I think is neat.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first dad for a playable character?
For sure.
In Pokemon?
I think so, yeah.
Cool.
They might
I wonder
imply.
why that is.
Yeah, I don't know. They might imply in prior generations that like your dad is friends with the professor. Like maybe Oak is like, oh, I knew your dad or something like that. I don't know, but I do remember when we did Red and Blue, we were like, hey, where's the dad? What's up?
Maybe all the dads died in the Great Pokemon War.
Yeah, who knows?
Shout out to single moms though.
Yeah, shout out.
Appreciate that. Now we go off to Route 104, and this is where I start to like understand maybe where like what the setting is of this game. Like, is this an island type setting, like Hawaii, sort of palm trees, beaches, that sort of thing?
So I looked up, because it's not Hawaii. Hawaii's Gen 7.
Okay.
I looked up what the Hoenn region is based on. Because we knew that Johto and Kanto were based off of some islands in Japan.
Right.
It looks like that's continuing because from a quick Google search citing Bulbapedia, Hoenn is inspired by the real-world Japanese main island of Kyushu.
Okay.
So
it is an island setting. It is just more... It's still situated in the Japanese-inspired real-world settings. So, Cool. That's nice. Another little graphical thing I noticed was the footprints left in the sand.
Yeah.
Which, of course, by now is obviously I'm coming at this from a 2020 perspective, or 2021 perspective, rather. Time has no meaning. But that's cool. Like, that's a fine little addition that they, of course, utilize the Game Boy Advance for. So that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, do you think, in terms of just the way the progression's been going in terms of town to town, and like, does it feel more natural to you in terms of like, I don't want to say level design, but like overworld design maybe, compared to the other ones that are very segmented, like, here's the tree barriers of the town, and then you get the pathways. Like, I think a benefit, in my opinion, of the design here is there's a lot of waterways and like beachfronts and stuff like that, where it makes your traversal between towns feel a little more natural than just tree hallways.
That's a good point. Yeah, because we do get the woods coming up, but yeah, now I guess now that you mention it, it does seem a little bit more natural, where the settings are a little bit more diverse. Like, it's not like it's not like, oh, you're in the water section, or oh, you're in the ice section, or whatever. It seems like maybe a little bit more nuance between the two.
Sure.
But at this point, I meet C-Dot, who looks like an acorn. It's supposed to be like a seed type Pokemon. So I thought that was cool. And then I catch a Marill, and I catch a Wingull.
Nice.
And I wanted to use Marill as my water type. But at this point, I don't think Marill had any water moves.
Okay.
So, or maybe it was the typing as well. I think Marill was just a straight water type. And Wingull was water and flying. And like I said, I like that double, twice the pride, double the fall Pokemon.
That's fair.
And I was like, I never keep a flying type in my party. So, like, I might as well take this opportunity to have that.
So,
for now.
With Wingull, do you imagine Wingull clearly based on a Seagull? Do you think Wingull has an evolution, or do you think Wingull is an example of a one-off?
I think Wingull does have an evolution. And if it does, it may just be one, because I can't imagine a doubly evolved, roided out Seagull. Like, I can't imagine that at all.
I want to imagine
popped
it.
Out.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be something. I don't know if we see that in this E for Everyone video game, but
now
I think we do maybe get like a Seagull sort of situation.
Okay. Trend in the party right now, I can't help but notice. We got your grass starter, Marill, who's pure water, Lotad, who is grass and water, Wingull, who's flying in water. Early game, a lot of water.
What's the deal with that?
Now,
I don't like it.
Are you familiar with 7.8 Too Much Water?
Yes, I think Fran Mirabella reviewed Zelda and gave that descriptor.
No, this was for the remakes of Gen 3. And Alana Pierce was stuck doing the review, and then one of the editors said, for like the pro con, said Too Much Water as an abridged thing of like, the region gives a lot of water Pokemon, and it became memeified. This is the generation that is too much water. That's the generation thing.
Wait, I swore Fran Mirabella did that.
I don't know. I know Alana did the VO for the video, because she got a ton of hate for that. And it wasn't even her.
Yeah, so I thought it was Fran who like wrote the review, and then like the editor did like the
I think Fran gave a 7.8 to like Mario Kart or something like that. Like, I know he's given a 7.8 out before.
You're 100% right. Yep. You're 100% right.
For listeners, and then IGN, their review scores. I remember you probably know, if you're watching the show, you know that Too Much Water was a huge beam at the remake of Hoenn. So this is for Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. Yep.
Okay. So I have it pulled up. I think you're 100% correct. They might have gotten rid of the Too Much Water.
They probably did.
Thing. But yeah, you're 100% right. That's so funny.
But I'll say this: I thought it was always funny. Like, I was like, haha, it's a joke, it's fun. The generation does have, I think early on, has some water Pokemon, you know, and we'll see what the rest of the things play out like. But do you have an issue with that at this point?
Yeah. I think for me, I was going to say this to the end, but I think it's actually pretty pertinent right now. Like, it was a little overwhelming for me to, like, type my party out because there weren't a lot of options.
Yeah.
And if there were, it was either water or normal. And I don't really mess with normal all that much. Or bug. Get out of here with bug, okay?
Hey, Heracross. Heracross is cool. Bug fighting.
No one can ever convince me that bug types will ever be useful. Like, I just can't. I apologize. Apologize to Heracross.
Thank you.
I know you like Heracross.
Thank you.
I just can't do it.
But yeah, I think we'll get to this, but the first gym is rock type. I do think the reason it's so heavy handed at the beginning is because they want to prep you for that. But On the flip side, where yes, there is a fair amount of water typing early on in the game, what are you thinking so far in terms of new Pokemon? Like, you haven't really seen oldies before, right? Meryl was a Gen 2 Pokemon, but like,
yeah,
that's it, I think, right?
Yeah, it's almost like the inverse to the Crystal problem, where immediately with Crystal, you were seeing like Rattatas and Pokemon that you'd seen in Blue, and it felt like familiar, which was nice in a way, but it also didn't feel wholly distinct. And now with Emerald, these are entirely new Pokemon, right? Except, for what you mentioned, like Meryl is like the one example. I'm fine with it. I know that we'll see older Pokemon as we go,
right?
So that's cool. But yeah, it seems like Emerald here is the devs coming out and being like, this is the new Pokemon. So we're gonna front load the beginning of the game with new Pokemon that will hopefully excite you. So yeah, it was nice. I thought it was a good difference between Crystal and Emerald.
I agree. How many gyms do you expect that to be the norm? Like, how long do you think we go before we start seeing a lot more familiar faces?
Yeah, I think we get through episode 2, and it's largely similar to this, maybe sprinkled in with some old Pokemon, but I think by gym 3 or 4, it's just like, I'm gonna see a Wooper, I'll see a Pikachu maybe. I know Pikachu are sort of rare, right?
In Gen 2,
like,
I think the only way to do it was with Pichu. I believe... well, I forget. I can't give an honest answer about that right now, but Gen 2 I know is harder because you need Pichu.
If I find a Pikachu in this playthrough, that's in my party forever.
Nice. Very nice.
Because I like Pikachu. So at this point, we get through that area. I think it was Route 102. And we get to Petalburg Woods. And there's this dude, like, running away. I think he's looking for, like, a shroomish, I believe, is the context.
Yes.
And this evil member of Team Aqua shows up and is, like, trying to rob him or whatever. And the dude cowers behind me. And Team Aqua's like, all right, I guess I'll go through you. And before the battle begins, in a very, like, 1960s Batman way, the Team Aqua logo, like, flashes up in the screen and then, like, flashes down, and then, like, the battle sequence starts.
Yeah.
Very cheesy, very funny. Presumably this is the next Team Rocket, right? This is the first order to Team Rocket's Empire.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What do we think of the vibe and the energy? Team Aqua, we just had a big conversation about water. What do you think?
Just gonna mention that. It's funny because it seems like a tongue-in-cheek reference to the water types and also like the proximity to water that we just came from. Who was it? Was it Derivative Zed who said, "I hope Jack brought his
swimwear"?
Swimwear. Yeah. So I think we're in for something. With the Aqua and water.
Yeah, I think by the time we have next week's episode, you'll have a good sense on what to expect on the scale of this water thing. Because I know it can probably sound bad right now, but like I think you'll get a better idea next week.
It scares me because in Crystal there was the place on like the upper left. I'm forgetting what it was called. There's Whirl Islands.
Right.
And I used like so many repels there, and like sometimes it didn't work because it's not like a foolproof thing. But yeah, I don't like being in water in Pokemon. It scares the hell out of me because I feel so defenseless.
Yeah. Well,
even more so than like a cave.
We'll see how that evolves in the coming weeks. But
excellent. Well, you hear about my anxiety firsthand then.
How did this battle go?
No problem. I didn't even write down like the steps I took to defeat the Team Aqua member. It was just whatever.
Yeah, pretty quick.
So yeah.
Trigo must have demolished. So
probably.
Yeah.
I get a Great Ball for the situation. And then move on to I think Route 104, maybe 105. And I learned about planting berries in this. This is another gimmick. I would say gimmick in this game where instead of like in Gen 2 in Crystal, you like walk up to these trees and there's berries there. And then presumably like after a day or two of like real time, you can go back and like re-harvest those berries.
Yeah.
In this game, you pick clean like the berry trees, and they're gone.
Yeah.
And you have the option to plant berries in their stead, and it doesn't have to be the ones that you took. It could be totally new ones. And I also got a watering can, similar to Animal Crossing.
Shout out.
What I'll say about this, Christian, is I will probably never go and reharvest the berries.
Good.
Do you do that?
No, never.
Okay.
I'm sorry if it's another mechanic my dumb kid brain conditioned me to skip, but like I barely used berries in the last 2 games. You know, like
Yeah.
I think an orange berry I think is helpful, but like if I'm gonna give one of my Pokemon an item to hold, I'm not gonna give him something better than something that just gives him 20 HP back. You know, like I don't know. I've always not been a berry guy. I'm sorry.
Me either.
Yeah.
Berries are the one thing that are, well, like you can't give Pokemon, I believe, like human-made objects like potions. They can't hold potions and like
yeah,
or well, like they can,
but
they don't.
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
ineffective.
Right.
So
Berries supplement that. But I almost never do. I give them like speed or attack, like X speed or X attack or whatever, or other items that they can use. Berries, I agree with you. So we're on the same page there.
nice.
It's here that Trico is leveled up to 14. So that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Trico's leveling up pretty quickly.
Yeah, so I think I spent some time getting my team to all be around parity. So I think where I left off, everybody, I think Trico or Kashi and Bobber, I think we're both level 13. Okay. And Grayson, I think I left off around 11 because I caught Grayson after I did the gym, and then I just grinded a little bit in the grass outside the gym. Mm-hmm. But that's where my team's at right now. But I do think I noticed this too. I feel like your starter, and I'm sure there's some math going on here. I feel like the curve of you gaining experience is a little quicker to start out than previous games.
Yeah, it seemed that way. It did definitely seem that way. Mm-hmm. But here, Christian, I think is where I'm presuming the game sets itself apart from previous generations.
Okay.
I encounter Gina and Mia. And this is my first double Pokemon battle.
Yeah! Double battles.
Where, yeah, it's essentially like a JRPG fighting system. Mm-hmm. Where these 2 trainers are using their separate Pokemon. But it's essentially me battling with 2 of my Pokemon against 2 other Pokemon, which I think is really cool, and it adds like this different dimension to, are we gonna attack like one first at the same time? Oh, I have the advantage in one case here, but I have the disadvantage in another, and like how you're gonna like type your Pokemon. I can already see this being frustrating and also rewarding at the same time, so I'm excited.
Yeah, double battles are pretty cool. I don't know if I have like a preference, and from memory I feel like they're not constant. The way other games will have a gimmick and it's like that's the only thing you do. But yeah, I think from memory they're spaced out pretty well, and they do some interesting things with them sometimes.
Very cool. So. Yeah, it seems like it's heading in that direction, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, that was the first time I was like, whoa, this is something new.
Next gen.
Of course, yeah, like the graphics and everything that you notice like at the very beginning, and that sort of just takes a backseat eventually. Like you just get used to that. And this is one of those situations where I was like, oh man, this is like next gen Pokemon at the time. Yeah. So it's nice. It was really cool. We get to Russeborough City, which is the city probing the integration of nature and science. Of course,
home of
this never ends well. Yes.
Did you immediately because this is a pretty big city compared to the other ones so far?
It is, yeah.
This is the trainer school is here. pretty useless.
Yep.
I don't know if you explored immediately, if you went straight to the gym, because again, revisiting after a while, I usually, especially in the past 2 seasons when we played these other Pokemon games, I've liked to sweep the town first, then go to the gym. So are you on the same page? Like, how have you been approaching this?
I do exactly the same thing. Like,
Okay.
gym is always something I reserve for the very end. Something that, like, I would do that normally, but also for the purposes of the show, I like to end the gym at the very end.
Yeah.
Just because I think that's a good, finality. So, yeah, I do explore this a lot. There's, like, apartment buildings that I go through, I remember. I think that's where I get Quick Claw, which is, I think it increases speed, or at least ups your chance of attacking first. I get HM1, which is Cut. I think I get that in Cutter's house.
Nice.
Here. And then, yeah, I visit the school, which I don't think much is there.
No.
If anything at all. And I run into someone, Christian, and I read her text really fast. Of course, gotta go fast. I have the text fast. And I mistakenly read it that this was a fire gym, and her rock gyms did nothing against the fire. But it was the inverse. It was actually a rock gym, and her fire types did nothing against the rock type.
Okay. Well,
so, in a roundabout way, it worked out.
Sure.
Because I decided to level up Wingull to combat fire. And I did this in Route 116, which is off to the right. I might have even jump the gun a little bit, but whatever. I went through all the trainers there just to level Wingull up. I come back to town. Turns out it's actually like the rock gym, but as I've described before, I have like this little handy like infographic where it's like this type is good against this type,
right.
This is weak against this or whatever, which I refer to. Turns out water does still have an advantage, or at least Wingull has an advantage over rock, so
yep.
That's good. And apparently also Trico does too.
Yeah, so grass and water both have strength over rock, and I don't think it was this way in Gen 2, but if you look back to Brock in Gen 1, I think we talked about this, because you had Squirtle, so you breezed through that fight.
Yep.
I had Bulbasaur. I also breezed through that fight. And Charmander would have been hard mode, because Charmander in that game, I think at a certain point he'll learn like some attack that's useful against something that can like actually do more damage than just scratch. But yeah, when the first gym is rock, you don't really have to sweat it.
Yeah,
you have a 2/3 chance of being able to fly through that thing.
Yeah, and it turns out all that leveling up for Wingull was, not necessary, but I'm glad that I have at least somewhat of a comparable water/flying type in my party, at least for now. I have no particular love for Wingull, so if someone comes along where I'm like, all right, I want you as my water type, that might happen, but we shall see. As of now, Wingull is a mainstay, of course.
Nice.
But we get to Gym Leader Roxanne.
Yes.
Now, Christian, up to this point, is there anything that you've noticed that we haven't talked about? Like, how did you prepare for this fight? Were you already, like, good to go?
Yeah, I felt solid because I knew she was a rock type, and I was like, from the second I picked Trico, I was like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
By the time I got there, because of the way I was leveling Meryl as well, I wanted to make sure that I was at parity, right? So, like, I think by the time I started the gym fight, they were both at level 12, and they had type advantage, so I wasn't too worried. Similar to you, I eventually ended up fighting the trainers on 116, just for some more XP. But
yeah,
I actually forgot to do the Cutter house. I didn't go in there. I think I meant to, and then I might have gotten distracted or something. But I have to do that before next week for sure. So.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, this is Gym Leader Roxanne, who is the rock-loving honors student.
Roxanne.
Yes. Oh, dude. I thought, as soon as I heard Roxanne, I thought of the Police song.
Yeah. Rocks.
And yes. As soon as I read the rock loving honor student just now, I was like, that might be a reference to, like rock and roll. And yeah, nailed it, dude.
Yep.
You put the 1 and 1 that were separated in my brain somewhere, and you put them together, and you made 2. So, thank you for that.
Of course.
So, eventually, I just run through, of course, essentially a bunch of Geodudes in the gym itself, like with the trainers. No issue. And we get to Gym Leader Roxanne, and she pulls out her party. I have a Wingull at the front.
Okay.
So she pulls out a Geodude. I got my Wingull. I use Water Gun, and it's a one-hit situation. No big deal at
Very
all.
nice.
And I'm like, this is going to be easy as hell. She pulls out another Geodude. I got my Wingull. Water Gun, 1 hit. Right? No deal. Wingull's level 13 at this point. Learns Wing Attack. A nice flying move, I think.
Yes,
so,
very nice.
Good to have. Now we do finally have that type advantage if we need it. Then, Christian, things heat up a little bit. We get Nose Pass.
Okay.
Who first of all, looks weird.
Yeah, it's like a rock.
Rock with a beak, kind of.
That's nose, actually, because it is called Nose Pass.
I guess you're right, but it looks like a beak.
I mean, I guess right? It looks like a Mr. Potato Head. That's like different colors, right?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, let's look up the like future version of Nose Pass.
Nose Pass. Yeah, it looks like a
Oh. Okay. Well, it depends on the artist's rendition. Oh, dude, I do see a Mr. Potato Head right here.
Right?
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that, because, yeah, someone drew Nose Pass as Mr. Potato Head. Okay. I yield that point, but I also do think this looks like a rock bird.
I mean, I can hear it. I can see.
Okay.
I will hear that out. But it is...
Emotion stands.
It is a nose in its name.
Sure.
So,
you got me there.
Do you have trouble with this one, or...?
I kind of do.
Okay.
So Wingull uses Water Gun, Nose Passes, attack misses. Wingull uses Water Gun again. And then this is where things like start getting a little dicey, because Nose Pass uses Rock Tomb.
Ooh.
And it's a one-hit kill.
Okay.
And does Rock have an advantage over flying? Because this may have been a flaw in my level up design here for Wingull.
You know?
I could pull it out. If
it just might. I don't know. I think it might. It's weird.
That's a one-hit kill right there.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that would make sense. Well, Rock Tomb is just a strong attack, regardless. Because remember, I don't remember if he struggled with Onyx in Season 1, but Onyx knew Rock Tomb. So.
Right. I think I'm gonna pull it up here. I'm having difficulty reading this at this point. Yes. I think Rock does have advantage over flying.
Okay.
Or it could be vice versa, but that would make sense. So I do think Rock has the advantage over flying.
I mean, that makes sense. You whip a rock at a bird, the hollow bones will just... You know?
Yep. So that does me in. But we did some damage.
Nice.
But of course, we'll get into it. It's all for naught. I take out Trico, and Nose Pass uses Barry, which I write fuck you Roxanne, because like come on. I get it. No one ever, aside from like gym leaders or like tough trainers, ever uses potions or like healing items. So when someone does, I'm like, bro, I spent like the past 2 hours like demolishing Pokemon, and now you're trying to heal them up.
You want to know, this is a quick aside, but do you want to know a funny story about that in this game?
Sure.
That you missed, and I missed it too because I wiped the kid out quickly.
Yeah.
After you get the water pail, like the watering can, there's a couple fights on that path before you find the twins. There's a kid named like Rich Boy Winston or something, and he has a Zigzagoon who's like level 3 or something.
Yeah.
It's like embarrassingly low. If I don't know how to trigger this, but like there's a world where if you're fighting him, he will use a full restore, like the potion that you don't get until super late in the game, on his level 3 Zigzagoon because he's a rich kid. I think that's so funny.
That is fun. Now that you mention that, that may have happened to me, and I didn't like put that together. That's so funny.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so Nosepass, yeah, uses Barry. Trico uses Absorb. Nosepass attack misses. Nosepass uses Potion. Again, come on.
2 potions, damn.
I know. I'm using Absorb, using Quick Attack. Nosepass hits me with the Rock Tomb, to which at this point I do have to use a Potion. And then subsequently Nosepass uses another Potion. And I write here, fuck you, despite the double standard of me being able to use a potion. So yeah, at this point I'm like, all right, hopefully this ends sooner rather than later. I don't like this potion business. Nosepass uses Harden. I keep hitting him with Absorb. Nosepass uses Block, which means I can't leave the battle, which is sort of a wasted move on Roxanne's part because I wasn't planning on going anywhere.
I think,
or like I can't take Trico out of the battle.
Right. Yes.
So. Yes. So yeah, I wasn't planning on taking Trico out, but she doesn't know that. So I guess it was a gamble and did not pay off. Absorb again. Then Nosepass uses Tackle. Finally, defeat and feint Nosepass with a final Absorb. So there it is.
Very
Roxanne
nice.
Defeated.
What badge you get?
Before that,
okay.
Trico levels up. I forget where Trico is at this point. And I choose to forget Pound.
Good.
In favor of Pursuit. And my logic here is that I have Quick Attack. So Pound would essentially be unnecessary, right?
Yeah, Pound is pretty much useless. It's like, again, it's like Scratch in Gen 1. It's like, why? Why would you need that if you have, like, Tackle, you know?
Right.
So, good choice.
Right.
I don't even know if Pursuit's a good attack. I know what it is. I know it's a Dark-type move, but, like...
Yeah.
I can't even conjure the slightest idea of how viable it is right now. You made the right call.
Yeah, I figured I would, like, get rid of... I probably won't even use Pursuit. I'll give it a go, but, you know. I figured I would just get rid of the useless one and try out the next one.
Smart.
Yes, and here I noticed this is the first time like I had to swap moves, like choose one for another, and Emerald definitely gives you like a greater description of like what the move that you're getting is, like with the number of PP, power, etc. Excuse me, and it also describes the move that you're replacing. So that's great. It's nice to see.
Yeah, they just continue to expand on that in future games. So this is like you said, it's like the beginning of that. So I think it's a welcome addition. So.
Cool. It's still like a little limited. Like I would like to know a little bit more information. It does show you the power, which I think is nice. But yeah, it's good. It's definitely markedly better than it was in the previous iteration. So that's nice. But yeah, at this point, my Trico evolves into Grovyle? Grovyle. And I wrote that this seemed very quick. I didn't have a lot of time with Trico.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming... I think I might have to fact check it, but I would assume that this happens around level 16 to 18.
Yeah.
And...
that sounds right.
It's funny because that is really where it happens for most starters in previous generations, in that little range. But yeah, I wonder, like, it must... I think what we were touching on earlier, I think it really is that there's just a buff in how fast your team will like level up. I think that's just it.
Yeah, it does seem pretty quick, comparatively.
Yeah.
So with that evolution, I also learned Fury Cutter.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'll use Fury Cutter, but again, I had Leer, which I've like essentially stopped using the status effects, unless it's like sleep or confusion or something like that. So yeah, I got rid of Leer in favor of Fury Cutter. I don't know if that was a good choice, but I just don't use Leer, so I figured might as well.
Nice.
But yeah, to answer your original question, we got the stone badge.
Fantastic.
And we got TM39, which is Rock Tomb, which presumably will be very useful because that got Wingull in like one hit.
Yeah, Rock Tomb, it's a good rock move. So if you ever, I know you had a Geodude last season, so if you experiment with any rock types again, Rock Tomb is a must-have for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It seems that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what was your experience with Roxanne? Any difficulty?
I wiped her so fast. I got nose pass with a crit hit the first time. Like it wasn't a one hit, but I did crit, and I think she might have healed once, but it was like NBD. I'll just use absorb again, and
yeah,
I think I might have lucked out, but
excellent.
I had no issues in that fight at all.
That is excellent.
So
that's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess sort of final thoughts for this episode. Like I said earlier, right now, I'm feeling somewhat overwhelmed in, not like in the world itself, because it's largely similar, right?
Right.
Traversing the world, going through routes, and then eventually getting to a gym. Like that's been our progression for this show, and that's just also how the game works, right? More in the sense of being overwhelmed by choosing a party and choosing Pokemon for that party, because right now, like, I haven't found any that I particularly love. So, like, I have Wingull as like my water flying. I don't know if Wingull stays to the very end.
Sure.
It's very possible that it does, but like something could come along the way that is just like the design better, and maybe I like the typing better, that I go with someone else. And I essentially only have like 2 Pokemon that I use, so
yeah,
it's a little scary.
I wouldn't be too concerned with that yet. I think because maybe go back to the first 2 seasons and just like see like the pace you were going at, because like I think now they just gave you a lot of options that would help against the first gym that are the same type. So I can understand why that would be a little like, feel like it's too samey, so you don't want to have a bunch of water on your team. But I can tell you right now with my Trico staying to the end. Tailo, I could see stick around as a flying type just because I usually like having a bird on my team. I don't know how I'm feeling about Meryl. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Meryl, like, should be there because it's cute. Like, we talked about this last season. It's sort of like the blue Pikachu, but I'm with you there. I didn't feel that big of an attachment to Meryl.
Yeah, I could see a world where early on in the game, my Meryl evolves, and I'm like, you know what, I might as well just stick with it. Because I think, like, Meryl, I think, could be a good member of the team, and yes, there will be a lot of options for water as you progress. I can't... based on memory, I think I can give you an answer about water flying as a combo, if you would like to know that.
Yeah, what do you mean? Like, is it a good
No, like if there are, like, how many more of that typing pairing there are.
Oh, yeah. Do we get any other cool ones?
I don't think so.
Oh, so this is rather unique.
I think within this generation, Wingull might be the only water flying. I don't know. I think I messed up on this last season also. I think for some reason in my head, I think Gyarados is water flying. Gyarados might just be able to
Water
learn...
Dragon.
Okay. I think it can just learn a flying type move at some point. Maybe that's why it sticks with me. But yeah, if you love this combo, consider getting used to Wingull or having a pure water type and then a flying with a different combination or something down the line.
Okay. I like having a flying type because that's something I didn't really experiment with, right? Like, it's mostly like Spearow and like some
Pidgey.
other I can't even think of any ones that I would take to in the flying camp. So yeah, I like Wingull's design. It's cute. I like little seagulls, right? And I do like water. I like my water types, but we'll see. Now that you say that, that definitely has me a little bit more interested in Wingull, keeping them around, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I always say that because I know you mentioned you were overwhelmed, so I want to give you some sort of guidance on that, just to help out with the team typing and stuff like that. So
excellent, I appreciate it. Now, there's I think 115, which is directly north, and then there's 116, which is to the right, which is before the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know where to go. Will one just lead me to a dead end? I know one leads me to the tunnel.
So did you like save in the gym?
Yes.
Okay. You will know exactly where to go.
Excellent.
So.
Okay. No town map yet, I noticed. Or is there? Did I miss it?
I'm making a face because I don't know if I missed it too. Because I don't have one. No, I think next week, I think we'll have the town map, actually, if memory serves. I think next week we'll have the map, so.
Okay. This isn't like a blue situation.
No.
Miss out on that.
I panicked for a second because I was like, is it? But no, I think next week, by the end of the episode, we will each have a map.
Cool. So. That's good. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that when we did blue, and people could miss it, and I was like, oh boy, that would have sucked. Although, granted, I also missed the ability to use fly in that game, so things like that happen. Yeah. I guess overall, like, my first impression after like the first episode with Emerald, it's obviously like more of the same, right? Like structurally with Pokemon. You're just like accruing Pokemon. You're going through the routes, completing the gyms. I presume you'll fight the Elite Four at the end of this game, and it'll just follow that sort of similar trajectory. But I think the party system with like the double battles and stuff, I think that will be one of the things that sort of set this game apart from Crystal and Blue, and maybe even from other Pokemon games. But yeah, it does. I get the sense like people have been mentioning that to me, that this is like a classic, like this is the Pokemon, and so far, like I see that. I see why this would have the appeal to get people coming back compared to Crystal and Blue. Yeah,
and I do think part of that is nostalgia to an extent as well, like you mentioned. The way, like, I have a nostalgia for Gen 1 and I don't for Gen 2, you know, but I have nostalgia for Gen 3. I don't know if that's just a weird thing with me or what, but it's weird where I feel like Gen 3 never really gets brought up in terms of like the typical faces of like big notable outlets or anything that have big rankings, or like if we're doing a top 100 games of all time, there needs to be a Pokemon game. Which one? I like. They always go to Crystal. I think in many ways Emerald is superior, and I think this week we just have begun to see that, and I can assure you, based on memory, that your worries go away.
Oh.
So.
What worries in particular?
Mainly just the pressure of the party, I think, right now. I think in time you will net out to a point where you're happy with your team and you have some good variety on there.
That is nice. That's a good thing to look forward to, because when I close this game on Sunday, I'm slightly nervous. But
yeah.
That's good. Any closing thoughts from you? Did you you've played this before. I know you said it's been like 10 years or so.
Yeah.
How was the first episode for you playing through it?
It's been great. I played Shield last year with the DLC expansions, so I was playing Pokemon throughout the year. Obviously, we played Crystal together, and I promise after this week I will stop saying negative things about Crystal, but it's been so comforting to play this game, because I think out the gate it just hits you with a really strong impression, and I don't know, I think what makes the gens of Pokemon to me as a fan distinct and exciting are the Pokemon, and I think it is insanely important for early game to have some good Pokemon in there. And I think this game, while there's a lot of water at the beginning and in other points, I do think it hits you with that. You know, like the starters, they're all good designs. And from knowing their lines, they're all good. They're all good. You know, like the bird, I think in this game is better than the bird in Gen 1 and Gen 2. The starting area ones, like Poochyena has an interesting evolution that I'm sure you'll see eventually. But like, I think out the gate, it makes a good impression, which I think is super important. So it's been nice to be revisited and welcome back with that.
Yeah, 100%. So until next time, Christian, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, because why not? Chun2D2, CHUN2D2. As well as here, youtube.com/joyclicks with Jack for this show, Excelsior, our Marvel show, Jedi Knights, the Gamescast, what have you, youtube.com/joyclicks. What about you, Jack?
Excellent. I would especially recommend people go check out your TikTok because you make some pretty good. I actually need to follow you on TikTok because you make some good Star Wars TikToks.
Thank you. I put a spicy one up today.
Ooh, Christian with spicy Star Wars takes?
Yeah.
Never have I heard one.
Yeah, that Vader hallway scene, it's an 8 out of 10 at best.
I mean, that's not bad. That's a good ranking.
It's not, but the thing is, people act like it's the second coming of Christ, and it's not. I
disagree, but I value your input.
Sure.
I value your input. You can follow me on social media at FascinatedJack. I will say look out for some new content from Christian, myself, Kevin Diaz, and our friend Omar. Very, very soon.
Yeah.
If you've been following us, you may have heard it. If you have followed our Once in a Generation ranking, you know that we like one particular stealth action game of this generation, and we might be visiting that very soon.
Yeah, I'll add on if you enjoy the format of this show, in terms of revisiting older games, keep your eye out for next Monday. It is very, very similar to this format. Yeah. Some would say almost exactly the same. Yeah. In a way. But until then, and until next time, we'll catch you later.